Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Batman the Animated Series miniature unboxing. This is for the Arkham Asylum expansion. If you want to get a little familiar with how the game plays, you can either check out the Ninja Turtles miniature game or the first Batman miniature game video, where I do just do a quick, not brief, I guess, like the Batman one was like a half hour long. But I go through the basics of the game. It's not a direct how to play, setup, turn by turn thing, but it explains the base concept of this adventure system. Pete Walsh, Kevin Wilson, creators. If you want to know why I mentioned, why I mentioned the Ninja Turtles, they have a part of this Adventures Universal Game System. They also made a bunch of sets for the Ninja Turtles off the IDW comic books, which are like 95% compatible. They use the same like basic rules for like movement, grids. You can mix and match the characters and stuff. Just a couple of differences are some of the icons in Batman are more Batman oriented versus Turtles are Turtle oriented. And the overall gameplay is a little bit changed because the Turtles games are more about like heroes just straight up defeating the villains, and that's basically the core of the game. It's like a fighting thing, and battling. Where the Batman has a lot more other stuff and does with tokens. So they have like fear tokens, smile X tokens, rescuing bystanders, turning off bombs, dealing with fire and ice hazards, dealing with being under fire of guns, stuff like that. Alright, so we're going to jump into this. I'm not going to spend any more time kind of going over the rules unless I need to. So, here's the episode guide. So this is basically going to explain what you need to play. So it's going to have like what all your different tokens and stuff are, how they fit in the box. There's a special Clayface mode, which is basically like a hidden traitor mode. So what you do is you deal out there's 5 cards. You deal out all of them. There are 5 hidden cards, 4 hero and 1 Clayface. So it's very possible if you're only playing 4 players that none of you might be Clayface. One of you might be. And if you are, you just play like normal. At some point though, here's the rules. You can flip it over and decide to become Clayface, and you swap in the special Clayface cards and you get different abilities. So it's a kind of a neat mode. So you can have someone trying to betray you. And there's some different rules. I'm not going to go too much. But you can play as 4 versus the AI, or 3 versus 1 versus AI, or one person might be. That I suppose you could also play it versus with one person playing as the playing as the villain, and then the other person's Clayface, and maybe even do like a special. Again, this is not in the rules, but you could maybe do it where everyone closes their eyes except for the villain character, and then the kind of like I'm thinking like the werewolf games, which have a big traitor game, is then the person's Clayface can then like open up and wave to them, so you're like, okay, you and me, like, we're gonna work together, so that could be kind of a fun thing too, because then it's kind of like, now not just only are you just trying to sabotage the heroes for the sake of sabotaging, you can also work with the villains, so they can maybe choose to not attack you, or maybe do less damage to you knowing that you're the villain. Anywho, here are different stories. We have Pretty Poison with 3 acts, Yafik of Clay with 3 acts, Mad as a Hatter with 3 acts, and then some special ones. We have Early Release Program 1 and 2, Priorities, and Bridge to the Blip Rescue. One thing I have to say it's very different about this also versus Turtles is because pretty much all the story modes are 3 acts. So there's 3 little stories. And then you kind of move on to the next thing, 3 stories. The Ninja Turtles actually plays through. If you play through from the very first book all the way, even through the expansions and some, outside of some of the Kickstarter stuff, it actually plays through the story of the comic books. Like from the beginning of the story to the next chapter, and you can keep it as a giant campaign. And then they have like the arcade battles, which are kind of like little one-off ones, which you could throw in here and there. And they also have some micro battles, which are solo missions. But also some of the missions, you might end up, even like some of the arcade battles, you might end up playing with like 2 people or 3 people, or 4, depending on where pretty much everyone in Batman is a 2 to 5 player or cooperative 1 to 4 player. So it's kind of neat. All these are the same, but they're not in like even episode order, which is also kind of odd. But that way you can actually, if you want, you can play them in episode order. Just get the episode list, figure out what order they're in, if you have everything. But again, it's not going to be every single episode, because lots of these are 3s, where the turtle ones end up being a lot more singular stuff. There's a couple that have like part 1 and part 2, but not a lot. Which I think makes that a little bit more fun, personally. But that's just me. So here's Pretty Poison Act 1. Just a quick re-overview. Playing competitive or cooperative. Cooperative is everyone works together against the AI. Competitive, someone's playing as the villain. So here's what they have to do to win or lose. Special rules, victories. And then like the map setup. So it tells you what maps to use. So like this one looks like it actually uses both maps from Arkham, or from the base game. But if you're playing competitive, here's how you set stuff up. You're playing cooperative, here's what you set up. Board components, you have 6 bystanders that go there. 3 cars, a Batmobile, a police car. So like, when it's just 3 cars, it doesn't care what cars. Dumpster, villain figures. That's how you set it up. And then the green stars are where you can start. And then it's going to go through all the other sets are going to be different like that. This one's going to have a couple of different rooms from this series. Mad as a Hatter. Some of the arcade battles. The big difference between the arcades is they don't tell you what leaders to use. You can use whoever you want. So you can decide, like, oh, I want to have this be against, Joker and Harley Quinn, or I want to have it be against Riddler and Penguin. That's sort of the idea of the arcade. Is they're loosely based on episodes, but they're more based on having, kind of do on. This one's actually pretty giant. So you have outside, you have 3 different maps, plus a bomb. This one's actually 3 different maps as well. Run across, and then you have to go over that blimp. Alright. That's all I'm going to go over for that right now. Let's look at the new stuff we got. We got a bunch of new tokens. We got some new cars, some more dumpsters. We have these sliding doors, which are kind of cool. So they're open on, or closed on that side, and then they're open on this side. That's so you can use them for like the jail cell, the Arkham jail cells. We have some signs there, Rose Cafe. And then we have this side here, which is Yester Toys. We get these big giant sidewalk tokens, which are really fun. I can even just see using a lot of these tokens and maps and stuff. If you play the Turtles game, you can make your own missions. More components are definitely awesome. Some more pillars, some test tube tokens for probably one of the missions, some poison ivies. There's some broken concrete, some crates, some different cars. Then the other sheet, we have 2 more big sidewalks. We have some big doors, safe door, some more poison, some the trader tokens. Whoever this guy is, I'm not for sure. I'm sure. Oh, it's the Mad Hatter tokens, is what those are. And there's like a fever token. We have some different doors and stuff. Alright, let's look at our maps. So we're only going to get 4 new maps in here, but again, they're all double-sided. So this is the bridge. Let's see if I can kind of flip this up a bit so we can get a little bit better view. So there's a bridge. Purple is stuff you don't want to step in, so stepping off the bridge, or here's like a hole. Here's another side, like a security room for probably Arkham. Enter through here. Or you enter through here, sorry. And then you have like some computers here, some monitors over here. So a little control room. That's kind of cool. Here's the other half of the bridge. Looks exactly the same. But still, it's neat because that way you can have a long bridge. Here is a TV studio. Definitely going to give you some neat other little things. Here's some Arkham cells. So you can see all the doors are currently closed. They start closed, but you can add openings to them. So one thing I'm at least maybe a little disappointed. I guess it's kind of fine because that way you can put anyone in the cells. But I wish they almost had these each cell like, I know there's only 6. It would have almost been cool if they had like a flip side maybe, or like had like special tokens for each one, like one extra board, but like rooms specified towards each different Arkham inmate, at least the ones represented in the game. I just wish there was more detail. Like there's like a flower pot here, so that's probably like Ivy's room. This one has some like playing cards, so you could say that's maybe the Joker's room. This one's kind of blue, so maybe that's Mr. Freeze's room. But yeah, then the other 3 are just, they're blank rooms. So I kind of wish they'd done more detail. Like, I keep comparing this to the Turtles game. The Turtles game, you went to, like, different rooms. They had, like, little homages to, like, things in the comic books, or the cartoons. Like, on one of the counters, they'd have, like, a little palm tree. Oh, that's Slash's palm tree from the comic books. Or, like, Casey Jones' mask was laying on the floor. Like, in the Turtles lair, they had, like, posters on the wall, like, pizza boxes. Like, there was so much other detailing. I don't know if maybe their thought on this is, let's clean up all that other, like, background stuff, just so you're focusing on this, and all the other stuff maybe not getting in the way. Maybe that was the thought. I'm not for sure. Here's, like, a little rooftop garden. Kind of neat. Yeah, so like here it has a little bit of detail, like they have all the different posters on the side, all the different villains, Killer Croc, Two-Face, Mr. Freeze, I think that's Catwoman, yep, Catwoman, but they have like the same newspaper that was all over in the first one. There's nothing special about it, like they didn't even do like different headlines. There you got like Joker, Ivy, Penguin, and Harley Quinn. Yeah, so it's neat little things like that. It's kind of like saying, oh, I'm in Arkham, here's some files on these characters. But that's it. There's nothing else in there. Here's another part of that rooftop garden. You kind of see the deck will go with the other deck here. Little water spots, kind of cool. Yeah, I just wish there was maybe a little bit more detail to some of these. But that's here nor there, I guess. It's just, that's me wishful thinking, but they may have just decided to clean it up. I know the original game, the original Turtles, all the maps, like wherever they have like yellow, they had a yellow line like in every single square. And that's why they started doing it this way, because I was way too busy. So I can kind of see their point if they decide to even clean up some of that artwork. Like, yeah, it looks cool, it's nostalgic, but it also kind of gets in the way of everything. Alright, so let's slide those out of the way. Let's angle our camera back down, and let's look at some characters. So now he's actually have the Arkham Asylum symbol on the back as a villain because he's a hero slash villain for this set. So this is the secret identity version. So what you do is you get these identity cards. So I'm going to say, who are you? And there is six of them. Then 5 of them are going to be, you are who you appear to be, and the 6th one's going to be Clayface. During your turn, you may reveal this card by making 2 special actions. And then if you do, you just swap out whatever character you were playing. So if you were Batman or Robin or Commissioner Gordon, whoever, you can swap out for this Clayface card. So he has, just like a regular hero, he has his attack and defense. He has 0 dice to bomb. Because basically it says right there. If playing adaptability, at the start of the battle, Clayface may select 3 unused action dice of any combination from the box to become his dice for the game. If playing Clayface mode, Clayface no longer shares dice once revealed. Instead, Clayface may take 2 additional unused dice from the box. The 3 remaining heroes share dice as normal amongst themselves. So basically now then they skip over Clayface and they just share with each other. Clayface gets 2 additional dice to use however he wants. So that way he'll have 5 dice, but he could have, like the 3 Batman dice he was already using, plus 2 other dice, or however he wants. What's also neat is because you could just play him straight up as a regular hero. Like, you don't even almost have to play him as a villain. He does come with regular hero cards, even though he shows him beating the crap out of the heroes on these cards. So, he has Absorb. Figures adjacent to Clayface treat him as 3 figures when breaking away. Clayface receives Defend +1 when defending against melee strikes. And part of this is because that way if you reveal him, you're still playing your turn during the hero's turn. You're just essentially a villain now. But they didn't want it to also be like, oh, now I have to, like, how do I, if I'm playing versus an AI, how do I now become a villain character if there's still an AI playing? So that's why they just basically said, you just play cards like you were, like you were a hero, but you get to attack heroes. So he has Face Plant. Clayface may spend melee icons as if they were ranged icons. Clayface's ranged strikes do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. We have Mudslide. Clayface may move through, but not end a move on figures. Ignore blocking terrain effects. He's got Mud Bomb. Clayface makes an attack +1 for each additional melee icon spent. Melee strike. If Clayface deals 3 or more wounds to an enemy, they are also entangled for 3. Recombine. Discard all stun tokens from Clayface. Clayface regains life and focus equal to the hits rolled on 4 battle dice, then remove this card from the game. And finally, he has Shape Shift, which has one of the oddest things I thought about this Clayface, is he has a metal hand. I get you can turn his hand into any other clay shape, I just didn't understand the metal thing, but maybe they explained it. Clayface may reroll his action dice for free. This does not count as a focus reroll. Alright, so that is all of that. So, now, the rest of this game, this expansion, is all villains. So, if you bought the base set and then you bought this, you're, other than sort of the Clayface, you could play as a hero, I guess, if you wanted to. But it's otherwise it's for that trader mechanic. All the rest of the cards are villains. So, let's take a look at them. First thing we got another regroup card. We got one of these in the other one. It says, when played, shuffle this card into the villain deck to make the villain deck together. Draw a new villain deck. Afterwards, draw 1 card, play another. So you can add more of these regroups in there so you can reshuffle your deck more often. Or regain focus. I do want to show up. So Clayface does have his card on the back, so it looks like the rest of the heroes. Alright, so there are some allies and things like that, but I think we're just going to go through the villains. But we're going to do the same thing we did in the first video with Shadows of the Bat, the base set. We're going to go through the regular versions of the characters, and then we will go back through and look at the AI side. By the way, here's Clayface. He's got a big giant axe hand. He's got a spiked ball. He's actually pretty big. Then compared to that, we have Baby Doll, who's actually small. So this is our second small character, with Isis being our first. Small characters can occupy space with another character. So she has small and agile. Baby Doll does not need to break away. When sharing space with another figure, Baby Doll may not be targeted. So then what are her cards? And like the other guys, they're going to have 3 red and 3 blue. Mr. Happyhead. Well, active. Baby Doll's range strikes do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. In addition, Baby Doll treats double hits as triple hits when making range strikes. Nap time. When played, select an enemy figure adjacent to Baby Doll. That figure receives 2 stun tokens. Toy Taser. This turn, before or after Baby Doll moves, she deals 2 battle dice of unblockable wounds to an adjacent figure. Cracker Jacks. This turn, place 1 Caltrop token within 3 spaces of Baby Doll in her line of sight for each range strike she makes. We have Mommy. While active, place the Mommy token on the bystander that is free from any status condition. The bystander may be activated like any other villain figure, has all the attributes of an enforcer, rolling +1 die when attacking. Discard. Remove this card and the Mommy token from the battle. So that's kind of neat. You can turn a bystander into the Mommy character for a turn. And playing too rough. Doesn't have any special abilities. Just cheater. Alright, so speaking of Clayface, we have the regular version of Clayface we can fight, which is malleable. Does not need to break away. Double hits count as misses when attacking Clayface. And then we're going to look at his abilities, which are going to be fairly close to his other cards. So we're going to have Absorb again. Steal 1 focus from all adjacent enemy figures. Any focus that exceeds a villain focus limit is discarded. Face Plant. Clayface's next melee strike may be made against enemies up to 4 spaces. It does not need to be made in a straight line. Mudslide. Clayface may move through targets, ignore non-blocking terrain, regain 1 effect, or 1 focus. Mud Bomb. If Clayface deals 3 or more wounds to an enemy, they are also entangled for 4. Recombine. Discard all status tokens. In addition, Clayface regains hits rolled on 2 battle dice, regain 1 focus, and Shapeshift. Just gets to do 4 actions, which is pretty nice. Alright, so even though we're in Arkham Asylum set, we're going to get a Stonegate Penitentiary character, the Clock King. So he has Dictate the Flow of Battle. Clock King chooses the player order instead of the heroes. So that's actually kind of crazy. So if you're playing against another player, he gets to choose who goes when. If you're doing AI, then it doesn't matter, but that we'll see his AI side when we get there. So there's Engard. On this turn, Clock King may reroll his melee strikes for free. This counts as a focus reroll. Timing is everything. After the figure completes an action, you may discard this card from the queue to immediately have Clock King use an action icons on it again. Your time is up. Select a non-blocking space on the map within 4 spaces of line of sight of Clock King. All enemy figures adjacent to space suffer an attack of 3 battle dice It may be defended against as usual. I've studied you. Well active. Select an enemy figure. The clock can roll its +1 battle die when attacking and defending against that figure. Regain 1 focus. Tempest Fugit. This turn, clock can range strikes and Tangle 4 if it hits, in addition to dealing wounds. And 3 seconds slow. After Clockking has suffered at least 1 wound from an attack, roll 1 battle dice per wound. Reduce the number of wounds by 1 for each blocked or double hit. So he doesn't have a regular heal, but he does have the ability to reduce. Alright, up next we have Jervis Tech, the Mad Hatter. Pay 1 focus to place a mind control token on an adjacent figure. Mind control villains may be activated more than once per turn. Heroes and bystanders under mind control may be activated the same as villain figures when one of Jervis's cards is played. And Jervis may not target heroes affected by mind control. Jervis may not be targeted by heroes affected by mind control. Ugh, it's a mouthful. Alright, so he's going to have Curiouser and Curiouser. Henchman figures under mind control receive +1 defense. Twinkle Twinkle Little Bat. This turn, Jervis's next melee strike gives target a mind control token of hits in addition to dealing wounds. Your Weight will active. Henchman figures under mind control receive +1 move. So he likes to deal with henchmen and stuff like that, but he's got mind control him first. So off with his head. Well active. Henchman figures under control receive +1 attack. Welcome to Wonderland. All enemy figures under mind control must rotate 1 action die to the side of Jervis's choosing. And what's interesting about that is if you change one of the outside ones, so like let's say he has Robin under control, and his outside one was a defense icon he was sharing with Batman. So if he changes that to a move icon, now Batman has to change his also to a move icon. This is kind of a nice way to mess up a lot of people. And finally, he has You Made Me Do This. When played, discard all status tokens from Jervis. In addition, gains life equal to hits rolled on 2 dice. So we've seen that one a bunch of times. Alright, our next Arkham inmate is Killer Croc. Which is odd, he's gray instead of his typical, like, green you usually see him in. Killer Croc counts double hits as double blocks when defending. In addition, Killer Croc is not affected by slow or rough terrain. He's got Pow. Killer Croc's melee strikes deal 1 stun token and may move the defending figure 1 space for each double hit rolled. Snap, Crackle, Pop. When making melee strikes, Killer Croc counts doubles as triples. Yummy. Killer Croc regains life equal to hits rolled on 1 battle dice. Catch. Killer Croc's range strikes do not weaken for the first 3 spaces. It was a big rock. This turn, Killer Croc may make only a single range strike and may not do so after moving. But he gets his 1 move and he gets 4 range. So that's pretty good. And then Rawr. When played, the move an adjacent figure up to 3 spaces in a straight line as if they were leaping. Yeah, throw him off a building. So I keep saying. Alright, our next Arkham character is maybe not as well known, unless you're really familiar with the cartoon, is Lockup. So he's an Arkham Enforcer. Enemy figures treat Lockup as 2 figures when breaking away or rolling for Awakening. While there are more villain figures on the board than heroes, Lockup receives 1 defense. So yeah, he gains extra defense. There's a lot of villains. I'm not really sure what his story is. I apparently don't remember him from the show. I didn't watch as much as I thought I did. Beatdown, well active, double hits count as triple hits when attacking. Cleaning House, when played, regain 1 focus for each villain that has been KO'd from the battle. Time to cleanse Gotham. Just 2 hits and 2 melee. I won't let you down. This turn, Lockup may make only 1 melee strike. The defending enemy figure is entangled for each wound they suffer. Unchained, Lockup may make melee strikes against figures up to 3 spaces away. However, melee strikes cannot be made through enemy figures. You're part of the problem. Lockup regains 1 life for each wound he deals to an enemy figure. Alright. Another character you might not be as familiar with is Maxi Zeus. Fire from Olympus. When Maxi's life is above 5, enemy figures may not place status tokens on him. Again, I don't know anything about this character. He has Behold My Power. When played, each enemy figure adjacent to Maxi may choose to move 1 space directly away from or receive 1 stun token. Electron Cannon. When discarded, choose an enemy figure on the map. That figure suffers an attack of 5 battle dice that may be defended as usual. When played, regain 1 focus. You Dare Trifle with Zeus. While active, Maxi rolls +1 battle dice attacked against stunned enemy figures. Blessing of the Gods. Maxi regains life equal to the hits rolled on 2 battle dice. Regain 1 focus. Kneel before Zeus. This turn, Maxi may make only 1 melee strike. The defending enemy figure receives 1 stun token for each double hit he rolls. And not for the weak. This turn, Maxi may only make 1 range strike. If it hits all enemy figures with a total defend attribute, including bonuses of 4 or less, adjacent to the defending enemy figure receives stun tokens. So he's going to throw around a lot of stun tokens. Alright, our next one up is a very familiar character. We got Poison Ivy, who is also immune. Pay 3 focus to spawn 1 killer plant in an empty adjacent space to Poison Ivy. And I just realized I haven't shown any of these characters, so we'll have to do that very soon. I got basically 3 more characters to go, and then we'll show them all off. Spawn 1 killer plant to an empty adjacent space. In addition, poisoned enemy figures adjacent to Ivy must roll 1 battle dice when rolling for wounds from poisoning. And poison says at the beginning of a poisoned figure's turn, that figure suffers unblockable wounds equal to the hits rolled on 1 battle dice, then removes the token. So she's got Come Here Pet. When played, move a killer plant to any empty space on the map. Do Me a Favor. Activate enemy figure with 5 life or less as though you controlled it. It receives 2 wild action icons. The Wrist Crossbow. Poison Ivy's range strike, deal 2 poison tokens to the defending enemy if they hit. Hurry Up Pets. Killer plants receive 2 move. When playing, regain 2 focus. Knockout Kiss. Choose an enemy figure adjacent to Poison Ivy, then roll 5 battle dice. The chosen figure receives a stun token equal to the number of hits and block icons rolled. And she has Until Next Time. When played, remove all status tokens from Poison Ivy. Enemy tokens may not place status tokens on Ivy. So up next, let's look at her killer plants. So they are a minion with creature and immune. Overgrowing. A killer plant defends against a melee strike. That attacker suffers 1 unblockable wound for each double hit roll. Killer plants are not affected by slow terrain. So it's also got its own cards. Grasping Tendrils. Select an enemy figure adjacent to killer plant. That figure is entangled for 4. Mouths to Feed. This turn, after moving, the killer plant may make an attack +1 melee strike against all enemies up to 2 spaces in their line of sight. Poison Thorns. The killer plant deals at least 1 wound to an enemy. That figure receives a poison token. Plant Food. When making a melee strike, killer plants will gain 1 life for each double hit rolled. Regrowth. Each killer plant regains 2 life. And Stun Spores. All enemy figures adjacent to killer plant receives 2 stun tokens. Alright, and our last villain, so we still got a minion left to do, is we have Ventriloquist with Scarface. Henchman figures within 2 spaces of Ventriloquist receive 1 attack. Ventriloquist's range strike do not weaken for the first 4 spaces. Isom. Ventriloquist places all enemy figures within 3 spaces of him in his line of sight under fire. Muggsy, you're up. If the Enforcer is activated, it receives +1 to its move and attack attributes. Rhino, go say hello. If the Enforcer is activated, it receives +1 move and its attributes and activate. So I think though that, I don't know, it seems like they misprinted this. So an Enforcer makes sense. It's a little scrawny guy. This should have been almost Crusher. So I don't know if they just misdid that, or if it's just he's supposed to have a bunch of Enforcers. Here we go, boys. Friendly henchman within. Sorry for the coughing. Friendly henchman within 2 spaces of Ventriloquist roll +1 battle die when attacking and defending. So he likes to use his henchman, of course. Just nice. There's several guys that like to do that. Just as we planned, boys. Choose 1 non-constant active skill card. The effect of this card ends immediately. Turn the card to its owner's hand or discard if required. And you don't scare me. When played, discard all status tokens from Ventriloquist. Gains life equal to 2 battle dice. Alright, then our final villain is going to be Bud and Lou. Harley Quinn's hyenas. When Bud and Lou are making melee strikes, double hits count as triple. Bud and Lou do not need to break away. So, care for a bite. Either Bud or Lou roll +1 battle dice when making their melee strike. Dinner time, boys. Just some abilities. Because they're henchmen, essentially. Take them down. Well active. Bud and Lou may spend their move icons as if they were melee icons. Creepy Laughter. All enemy figures within 2 spaces of Bud and Lou receive 1 stun token. Surrounded. This turn, Bud and Lou roll +1 battle dice if they are both adjacent to the same target. And Wakey Wakey. When played, remove a status token from either Bud or Lou. Alright, so we gotta look at the AI cards, and then as we look at the AI cards, we'll look at the miniatures, since we missed those. So we have Baby Doll. We've already seen hers. She does not need to break away and will always move to a shared space with an enemy figure. When sharing space with another figure, she may not be targeted. Baby Doll begins to turn adjacent to an enemy figure. She immediately makes a free move action. If Baby Doll can't reach optimal strike range after making a move action, her range changes to 3. Clayface is malleable. Double hits count as misses when attacking Clayface. When defending against Clayface, for every 2 wounds suffered, the enemy figure is entangled 1. Clayface can't reach optimal strike after making his move. Range attribute changes to 3. Alright, so now we have the Clock King, who we haven't seen. Alright, so there's the Clock King. Got a stopwatch in his hand, or pocket watch. He's got his clock face sword. Alright, so the Clock King says, dictate the flow of battle. Clock King's initiative card is not shuffled into the deck. Instead, once the deck is shuffled, plays on top. So if you're playing with him and Catwoman, you'll have to decide who's actually goes on top. At the start of each round, the hero gets only 30 seconds to arrange their shared action dice. That's kind of, it's an interesting ability, but I don't know, like, how are you really going to enforce it? Are you really going to be, I mean, you're playing AI, so it's not like there's a bad guy sitting there, like, the third player or fourth player ever sitting there being like, okay, 30 seconds, go. It's just kind of, you're on the honor system against playing against the computer. So neat effect, just, you know, how well can you improvise it, or implement it, rather. Here we have Jervis Tech, the Mad Hatter. So let's grab his mini out of here if we can. He's kind of an odd shape to grab. Alright, there he is. Yeah, so it's like they took these iconic pictures of them. They're like, yep, that's what we're going to make them look like as best as we can. And they're a little hit or miss sometimes. So Jervis places a mind control token on each adjacent figure at the start of his turn, and enemy figures, they roll at least one double hit when defending against an attack from him. All figures with mind control tokens will activate when Jervis' initiative card is drawn. Each mind control minion, support, or bystander receives one wild icon. Mind controlled heroes receive 2 icons, or wild action icons, and targets the closest hero. Jervis may not be targeted by enemy figures affected by mind control. Alright, now we have Killer Croc. And then Killer Croc actually runs around with a big giant rock. Which again is kind of neat because they're trying to mimic this image, but I would have been, he's the only guy with like really like an excess accessory. Like nobody else is carrying around something they wouldn't have normally carried. He doesn't always carry a rock around. Not affected by slow and rough terrain. When Killer Croc is not affected by a status condition, he may only suffer a maximum of 3 wounds per attack made against him. It's pretty durable that way. Alright, then we got Lockup. And there's a Lockup. Again, like the gloves, the like the little baton and stuff, the chain across the shoulder pads, the belt, all that stuff's really neat. And then it's like the one thing I feel like they dropped off was the head, because it, you know, it's hard to tell on my camera here, but it's just like a generic like face. Like I get it's just be covered with a mask, but there's not even like an indent where he has like a separate eye holes. Which again, I get it's a little minor detail, not that big of a deal. Well, if you're gonna paint it, you're gonna have to paint it separate anyhow. So, it might have looked weird maybe having like a full big line around the space. Arkham Enforcer. Enemy figures treat Lockup as 2 figures when breaking away for rolling or awaking. If Lockup deals at least 2 wounds to an enemy, that figure receives 1 stun token. If he goes 4 or more wounds, also is entangled for 2. Alright, then we have Maxi Zeusy. Maxi Zeus. Maxi Zeus's range strikes stun all enemy figures adjacent to the defending figure. Oh boy. I don't know, he actually looks a lot more Zeus-like on this than he does on there. But neat either way. Alright, we got Poison Ivy. Green Thumb. Poison strikes deal 1 poison token to the offending figure they hit. Poison enemies within 2 spaces of Ivy must roll 1 battle dice when rolling for wounds. If Ivy is accompanied by killer plants in this battle and there is 1 or less on the map, at the start of her turn, spawn a killer plant in an empty space adjacent to her. Killer plants within 3 spaces of Ivy receive 1 range and regain 1 life at the beginning of their turn. Oh boy, Ivy, you're kind of mean. Alright, so there's Ivy. I guess they managed to get kind of like the tagger around to the bottom of her costume. Which is kind of cool. You got the crossbow. Alright, let's look at these killer plants. So they're going to say, killer plants range strikes do not need to be made in a straight line. And for each wound the enemy suffers, move 2 figure spaces towards the killer plant. Move the figure 2 spaces because he pulls them in. Killer plant's melee strikes receive 1 hit. For each wound the enemy suffers, that figure receives 1 poison token. Killer plant counts as 2 figures for breakaway and not affected by slow terrain. So here's a killer plant, and you get 3 of these. So you can actually like have them spread out a little bit. They're not super strong, but if they're near Ivy, they're gonna constantly gain health. But yeah, they're really neat, detailed. I think the mouth might be a pain to paint if you're a painter. Alright, and then we have Ventriloquist. Nope, there he is. So I'll say this is really actually pretty impressive, because Scarface there, for being as small as he is, actually has some pretty decent detail. They didn't try and, they kind of covered up his eyes, and they didn't try and put in his cigar. But still, like, he has little buttons and all the other little stuff on him, his little Tommy gun. Yeah, she's actually pretty neat otherwise. Scarface has henchmen villains within 3 spaces of Ventriloquist receive +1 hit. If an enemy figure rolls at least 1 double hit when defending against range strike by Ventriloquist, they are now under fire, and Ventriloquist may not put adjacent figures under fire. And then our last one is going to be Bud and Lou, the hyenas. Bud and Lou each count as 2 figures when breaking away. Excuse me. If Bud or Lou is within 3 spaces of either Joker or Harley Quinn, they each receive hit +1. And this is what is actually really cool about this. So, we do get the 2 hyenas, but they actually gave them different poses. So you can decide which one's Bud and which one's Lou. But it makes it easier to differentiate them when you're playing them on the map. So like the one that's straight versus the one that's kind of curled the other direction. One is one. Plus, if you look at them, if you have them facing each other, their collars are on the same side. So you could be like, collar on the left is Bud, collar on the right is Lou, or whatever. So it's at least a little bit easier to like differentiate which one is which, since they do have stuff that mentions one or the other. That would be all our character cards. That would be all of those. So now all as we have left is allies and initiative cards. So I'm just going to flip these initiative cards really fast, because they just match all the characters we've already seen. So nothing extra special. But just for completion's sake, so hyenas get 2, Bud and Lou, and the killer plants get 2. And then we have one other one. We have Hugo Strange. Who we do have a miniature for. So if you know Hugo Strange, he kind of runs Arkham at times. So it makes sense. He's a brilliant psychologist. But if you notice, we didn't have a player card for him. And this is why. So we have a bad guy ally card, which says Corrupt Scientist. At the start of the battle phase, place Hugo on an empty space adjacent to a villain leader. Hugo may be activated with an additional actions, and villain figures within 2 spaces may reroll their battle dice for free. This counts as a focus roll. He has 3 move, 1 attack, 3 defense, 5 life. Yes, it's kind of neat. So you can play him as a separate ally. He comes in. It would have been neat if they would have also just given him a full card that you could just play, so you didn't have to keep relying on these stats. But they also do the same thing with Bullock and Montoya in the regular one. But then we also just have another Hugo Strange ally for the bad guys called Brilliant Psychologist. Which says, add Hugo's initiative card to the deck. When drawing, all villain leaders receive 1 action and activate. So it's kind of funny because the 1 card actually uses an initiative card. So when it's drawing, all villains receive 1 extra action. Or his other one is the actual one that you put in there, the Corrupt Scientist. Where he doesn't use his initiative card. He actually just comes into play and uses his abilities. So it's kind of interesting like that. And then we do have 1 hero ally, Summer Gleason, the Gotham Insider. At the end of each hero's turn, they may have a bystander make a move action. So that could definitely be very helpful. That's the point of these ally cards. It's either to make good allies to make your game a little bit easier, or the bad allies to make your game a little bit harder. So use whatever you want to do, or whatever you would like. Alright, so that was Batman Animated Series, Arkham Asylum expansion box. Again, check out the base game, Shadow of the Bat, if you want to see all the content in there. Plus, we'll have the all in big box, which is a couple of small expansions. Couple of small expansions that they shoved in 1 Kickstarter type box. Plus, we have the Kickstarter stretch goals. And check out the Ninja Turtles if you like this type of game. Maybe you want to buy that one as well. See you guys in the next video. Bye.